I think if anybody's sort of heard me on this podcast before, they'll know I'm a Hawks fan, so I'm disappointed. I know he splits opinion. I'm not absolutely, I'm not sitting here and saying, "Oh my God, it's devastating. Josh Hawks has left" or anything like that. I'm just disappointed. I think he's a good player. I think he's a good League Two player. I know a lot of people. I think one of the arguments that gets put out against Hawks and maybe other sort of forwards we have, like Sam Taylor, which I don't really buy into, is they're weak and they get pushed off the ball too easy. And I just think that's kind of an easy, just sort of like get out almost. I think sometimes we get carried away with this sort of blood and thunder, and that's great. I want players to be some players in the team to be blood and thunder. I want some players to be wholehearted. We've got that in O'Connor. He'll tackle his mum if he needs to and slide tackle or whatever. The forward players, you need a bit of technical class. You need a bit of guys who can make assists. They might not be great every game. They're in League Two. Patrick himself, despite scoring goals, brilliant goals, had games where he was off it miles away. You're going to get that with sort of League Two wingers and forwards. But I think if Josh Hawks gets a consistent run of games, he can score goals. And that's the vital thing. He can score goals. Not enough Tranmere players can score goals. Our record of scoring goals has been abysmal for a while. Our record of signing forwards is shocking. Our record of signing wingers is poor. And this is where I don't trust. At the moment, do I trust Crosby? Yes. Do I trust the club to adequately replace Josh Hawks? No, not until proven otherwise, because the recent years will tell you that. All right, Patrick aside, I'll give you that. We brought in on trial very late in the day. But I don't trust the club to adequately replace the likes of Hawks. Now, it'd be very interesting to see where he goes. Notts County have been linked, apparently, which would me say a lot. And yeah, I will remember Hawks as, I think he played his best stuff under Mellon. And I also think he was a type of player probably who needed an arm around the shoulder. I think every player is different. Adkins just completely swept him aside, and we saw no sight, no sound of him. And I don't think that's the best way to manage him. What Crosby did really well was brought him straight back into the fold, put his arm around him. I know he sort of was left out towards the end, but he produced. He scored some big goals, and again, he's not a fantastic, brilliant. I actually think Hendry's probably likely to be more of a miss, because I think he was absolutely fundamental to what we did at the end. And I think Crosby's commented, he said we did everything to keep Regan. I think Crosby knows how important he was for him. So I think that was I was probably more of a blow than losing Hawks. However, I am disappointed Hawks have gone. I know there's many fans who disagree with me. I know many fans who didn't want him in the team and who are glad to see him go. But I would just say to those fans, are you confident that we're going to replace him with someone who will score more than double figures in the league? I would be surprised if we did. There's options out there to do that, but can Tranmere identify those options and get them over the line is a whole other question. So, disappointed. I think it's probably good for his career he moved on, if I'm honest. Whether he would have played enough games under Crosby, I'm not sure. I think he would have been a fantastic option to have in the squad. I think he's a good finisher. Certainly replaceable. This isn't me saying we can't possibly replace Josh Hawks. It's just me saying that I don't trust that we will. So yeah, disappointed to see him go, but wish him all the best. I thought he was a good player, and be very interesting to see where he pops up next.
Yeah, I can't really say much more than that. I think if you're not disappointed in Hawks leaving, if you're happy to see him go, I just think it's a bit of an odd opinion to have, because he wasn't a bad footballer. He was playing in League Two, and even Crosby sort of alluded to that in his in the podcast yesterday, where he said, we're in League Two. You're going to have to excuse some things. Hawks was a good player. He was one of our better players. I think, he put the ball in the back of the net, more than other individuals. It wasn't all the time. Same with the likes of Morris. I was one of Morris's biggest fans, and his numbers over the last few seasons weren't the best. But I think that was kind of a product of how we were as a squad, how we were put together by Dawes and Atkins. It's not been good enough. So these players have kind of been, the part of the problem, if you want to go that far, because they've all been playing for the football club, but those players kind of been dragged, into they've kind of been tarred with the same brush. Sort of the whole squad's poor, so these players have sort of become poor. And I do just think it got to a stage though where it was probably best for both parties to part ways, which is really annoying because I would have preferred to have kept Hawks over letting him go. He'll pop up somewhere and he'll no doubt do all right. Like Paul said, I don't think he's unbelievable. I think he's in League Two for a reason. If he gets a League One move, I'll be shocked. Not that he's a bad footballer. I just think top end League Two is probably his level in a nice team. I do think he's one of those players who, in a winning team, he looks fantastic. In a losing team or a team that's got to battle that little bit more, it's probably not quite there for him. But again, it's League Two. Are you going to get everything out of everyone? No. I think we all kind of looked at like a Rob Apter who genuinely, he was kind of a generational talent for all of us, really. And it was sort of like, well, Rob Apter's doing this. Why can't everyone? And not everyone's like that. But no, Hawks is a miss. If we replace him, fantastic. I'll, eat my words, and Paul will eat his words, and we'll all eat our words. But do we trust us to kind of go and pay that, say big bucks? Do we trust the club to go and, swoop on the number one target in those areas? Not really. But, Crosby, by all accounts, really wanted to keep Josh, and apparently the club's offer wasn't really quite there. So, frustrating. But fingers crossed we can go and find someone just a little bit better.